Michail Antonio has cast doubts over his future with West Ham United in what was quite an emotional interview with France Football. He talks about waiting for a contract offer from the club and that it's very much his priority to stay. Now, obviously, he is the all-time Premier League top goal scorer for West Ham, and he wants to increase his tally in that competition because he knows JARROD BOWEN is fast hunting it down. Now, before I get into the video and talking about JARROD BOWEN, we actually have a signed JARROD BOWEN shirt up for grabs in our new partnership with Betmate. So if you go into the description of this video, you'll find all the details and you'll see the link and you can sign up. It's completely free to do so, but it is over 18s only. And the winner of the predictor game on there will win a signed JARROD BOWEN shirt. So yeah, really exciting new partnership for the channel, and get involved because it's very much worth winning. There's money prizes as well, but yeah, a signed JARROD BOWEN shirt up for grabs for the winner. So let us know in the comments if you're getting involved, and yeah, we look forward to seeing who wins it. So talking about Michail Antonio, he's done an interview with France Football, and yeah, a few things discussed in the interview. Obviously, a lot about the crash itself, which is very emotional and obviously a difficult subject for him to talk about. But obviously, he also talks about some of the contract issues with the club and sort of cast doubts really over his future. So he did mention that it's up in the air, that no contract offer is received. His actual words were, "The question is whether the club wants to extend my contract. That's my priority, but I'm waiting. Until then, all I can do is concentrate on my recovery so that wherever I am next year, I can play well." Now, I think he's just put the ball in the club's court in that regard. I think obviously his contract ends next month and it is still up in the air. He doesn't know where his future lies. And he's probably pushing or forcing our hand a little bit to try and get a decision either way, because it is. And Graham Potter mentioned this in his press conference or an interview, saying that the unique nature of the injury is why West Ham are probably sitting on their hands a little bit with this, not deciding what to do. I mentioned in my previous video that I don't think there's any suggestion that there is going to be sympathy deal handed to Michail Antonio. I mentioned that I don't think compassion is top of David Sullivan's priority list. It's not something that I think we'll do, even for our all-time Premier League top goal scorer. I just don't see it happening. I think very much the club is waiting to see how he recovers and what level of football he can get back to, because he has been a massive asset for the club, and like I say, he's been a brilliant servant. He's the all-time top goal scorer in the Premier League, and striking position, as we know, has been a problem position for us. And of course, we're already letting Danny Ings go. So I think it's a difficult one for the club in terms of where they sit right now. But I think a decision has to be made either way, and I think that's why Michail Antonio has done this interview. I think he might be just pushing West Ham to make a decision, or to at least announce what we're going to be doing when it comes to his contract. So yeah, I just think we're at that stage where a decision hasn't been made still. I think that's frustrating for a number of reasons. Obviously for Antonio himself, he doesn't know what's happening. For the club as well, but for the fans, because I think if he is leaving, we want to give him a good send-off. Whatever you think of Antonio, in terms of his technical ability as a footballer, he has been a fantastic servant for the club. I think it was about $7.5 million bought from Nottingham Forest, who obviously play on Sunday. And yeah, he's been a fantastic servant and a bit of a fan favourite as well. I think he always speaks well in interviews. He's always been honest. And yeah, I don't think you can knock him for the amount of money it took to bring him to the club. He's been, we've tried to replace him with big names and big amount of money spent on players like Skamaka and Haller and even Fulkrug this season, and yet nobody has really taken the mantle from him as the number one striker for West Ham. And obviously he reinvented himself a little bit under David Moyes as a striker. And I think it's just been brilliant. It's been brilliant for us. And like I say, you can't knock him for that. I think you can talk about his technical ability. He can sometimes do something amazing and then, kick the ball in the stands and that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's not the purest of technical footballers, if you like, but what a servant he's been for the club. So with that in mind, I think it'd be nice for the fans to give him a really good send-off, the send-off that he deserves, the send-off that I think a lot of the players who have been announced that they're leaving, the likes of Aaron Cresswell, Vladimir Coufal, will get on Sunday against Nottingham Forest, being the last home game of the season. So I think it's going to be a bit of a special day on Sunday for those reasons. And it'd be nice if Michail Antonio was able to be a part of that. But you could also argue that he deserves a day on his own, so maybe that will come later on. But obviously, we've only got one more home game, then we've got an away game in Ipswich, and then obviously the summer where it has to be decided what happens with him, and then we'll go into a new season. I think we need to make a decision either way. In my opinion, I mentioned this on my last video about the released players. I think it's best time to part ways. Obviously, it's not ideal that you'll be leaving a player that it has just undergone a massive incident, and that maybe securing his next contract won't be the easiest. But I don't think we can do much about that. We've from what he said with the interview with France Football, we've treated him well as a club. We've done everything we could to make sure he's in the best possible hands and that he's recovering as best as he can. But I think this is the time to say, look, you've been a fantastic servant. Thank you very much. Give him a good send-off, and then let him go when his contract expires. I think we obviously need a little bit of a new, fresh start with strikers. I know we've said that many times, but hopefully we'll be in the market for at least one. I think at least probably two, even three strikers if Fulkrug leaves in the summer. We need at least a couple of options, and I think that it makes sense to let him go with that in mind. So, yeah, I think a few things come out of the interview. He actually admitted that he still feels like a dead leg a couple of hours after training, which isn't a great sign. And obviously his age as well. He's 35 now. This is not a 28, 29-year-old who you think he can still recover from this and get back to his best. He's 35. I do think his best years are beyond him now. And I think it just makes sense to say thank you for being an amazing servant. And maybe it's time for something fresh for both the club and for Michail Antonio. Whether he can get back to Premier League football is a discussion in itself in terms of a level. He's gone through a massive, massive injury, and with him being the age he is, to get back to playing football at all, which is what Mark Noble actually mentioned, just to be playing football would be a miracle in itself in some regard. So I just think the Premier League might just be a level too high for him at this stage, and I think going to the Championship, for example, or a different country might just be a better option at this stage of his career. And have a little bit less pressure, because if he signs a new deal, then all of a sudden there's more pressure on him again to get back to full fitness. If he comes back too soon, he risks further injury, which could be the end of his footballing career. And then it might become a little bit toxic, the environment and the sort of atmosphere between him and the club and the fans. The fans might start to not resent him, but just think it was a wrong decision to keep him on, and therefore we're paying X amount of pounds every week to keep a player who's injured and can't get fit anymore. So I think all of that is just best, left behind, and let's start afresh and just say, look, you've been a fantastic servant for the club, and wish him well, and hopefully he joins another club, gets a new contract, and does well wherever he goes to next. It needs to be a new era for West Ham in terms of all positions on the pitch, but certainly up front. I'd be happy to keep Nicholas Fulkrug at the club, but I definitely think this summer we need to sign two strikers. We normally go into the summer and go, right, we need a striker. Let's get two this year. Let's get two just to be safe. And if we have two plus Nicholas Fulkrug at the club, there's a good chance that every week next season we will have at least one striker available to start. And we can't say we've said that too many times this season or in previous seasons. So, yeah, we've been far too reliant on Michail Antonio for far too long. And this incident, as unfortunate as it is, probably just provides a little bit of a chance to us to say, that's it now. Brilliant time at the club, all-time Premier League top goal scorer. But now it's time to start a new venture for him. And hopefully we can sign some young, fit, fast strikers that can cause problems. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one. Like I say, I do think it's very much up in the air at the moment. my gut tells me that this will be the end of Michail Antonio at West Ham, but you just never know. And I certainly don't want to write him off either. I don't feel comfortable writing anyone off in terms of an injury. I always feel like they've got the determination to come back, and I think he's shown many times that he can fight adversity and come back just when you think his days are numbered in terms of his time at West Ham. He comes back again and proves us all wrong. So I don't want to write him off, and I certainly hope that if he does leave West Ham, he gets a new contract at a good club and continues to do well. But yeah, I think now is time to cut ties and start afresh. But either way, Antonio's future still very much up in the air, up the Hammers.